Today we're in our third and final installment of our three-part series on the growth mindset. In our previous two Triple T's, we looked at an overview of the two mindsets, as well as two views of challenges and failure. Today we'll discuss how to instill a growth mindset. A study was done with a group of fifth graders who were separated into two groups and were given a series of 3 math tests. The first math test was intentionally extremely easy, and the students in both groups totally nailed it. Now, here's where the actual experiment begins. The experimenters primed the kids by telling half of the kids, "You did really well, you must be really smart," while telling the other half of the kids, "You did really well, you must have worked really hard." So, you must be really smart versus you must have worked really hard. Then the kids were given their second math test. But this time, it's hard, extremely hard, knowing that all the students will perform extremely poorly on the test, which they do. And here's the most fascinating part of this study. The kids take their third and final math test. This one is just as easy as the first one that they all took. Yet the performances of the two groups were drastically different. The group that was told, "You must be really smart," performed 25% worse than they did on the first math test. The group that was told, "You must have worked really hard," performed 25% better than they did on the first math test. Those strikingly different outcomes is shocking, but let's look at some hypothetical percentages to quantify this point. Let's say both groups got an average of a 75% on the first math test. That would mean that on the third math test, the "You must be really smart" group dropped from a 75% to a 50%, and the "You must have worked really hard" group went from a 75% to 100%. In the end, the second group would have doubled the first group's score, with a 50% margin of separation in their scores. That's incredible. And what was the only difference? Just a few words they were told regarding the reason they initially did well on the first test. But why did the "You must be really smart" group perform worse? Even though they initially must have felt pretty good about being told they're smart, when they immediately went on to the second test that was crazy difficult, their confidence was shaken, and they concluded that if the reason they did well on the first test was because they're smart, the only logical reason they could be struggling on the next test is they aren't as smart as they thought they were. Not only is that a deflating blow to their self-confidence, but they'll also perceive future challenges as threats because their inability to excel in an area will show others and themselves that they're not as smart as they'd like to be, so they avoid challenges at all costs. In contrast, the "You must have worked really hard" group processed the difficulty of the second test simply as an indication that they'll need more effort to succeed in something that difficult, which is why it didn't rattle their confidence, and they were able to push even harder on the third test and significantly outperform the other group. The fixed mindset leads to a helplessness response of, "I'm not smart, and there's nothing I can do about it," whereas the growth mindset inspires an empowered response of, "Challenges make me stronger and smarter. Through consistent effort and practice, I can do anything." So what can we do with our kids to cultivate a growth mindset? Celebrate trying, praising effort more than results. An example could be if they play a sport, let's say tennis, and they win a match. Instead of saying, "You're a really great tennis player," you can say, "Your practice and hard work are really paying off." Then, when they inevitably lose a match, they won't suddenly think that they're bad tennis players. They'll just realize they need to learn new strategies and work hard at practicing them in preparation for the next match. Let's finish out this series with a quote from Dr. Dweck herself that I like so much that it's in my email signature. "If parents want to give their children a gift, the best thing they can do is teach their children to love challenges, be intrigued by mistakes, enjoy effort, and keep on learning."